Everyone, welcome back to AGTube Central, and this is our podcast series, and this is episode 19. So for this episode, someone recommended that we should do a podcast talking about how AGTube Central was created and just kind of the backstory of the whole channel, because I know a lot of you guys, especially if you haven't been here since the beginning, probably have no idea how this channel came to be, and you might be kind of confused on who owns it, how it works. So I thought it might be helpful to make a podcast that kind of explains some of that. So I had some of the people on AGTube Central, some of the different girls, answer some questions that you guys had in one of the videos that we posted previously. It is private now, so if you don't see it, that's why. But I had them go and answer a few questions that were just general questions, and then there were some questions that I am going to answer myself. And in case you're wondering, my name is Joy. I run the channel 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𝕥, and all of our channels are linked on the About page and under the channel page on our channel tabs. So unfortunately, 𝔸𝕬𝕠𝕦𝕥 did not answer the questions that I had, but all the rest of the girls did, so you'll be able to hear their answers for the different questions. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys enjoy this podcast and are able to learn more about this channel. And if you want to start your own podcast channel, maybe this will give you some tips for how to do that, or just how to run a better channel in general, or, we'll see. So, the first question is, who made AGTube Central? So, a lot of people don't actually know who created AGTube Central, which is kind of funny because we do have it listed on our channel. It says host, and then it says a member of for the rest of them. So, I actually created AGTube Central. Like I said, my name is Joy, and my channel is 𝔸𝕬𝕠𝕦𝕥. We don't really make a big deal about who created it, though, because it's a group effort, and we all put a lot of work into keeping this channel alive, basically. It is a ton of work, and even though I am the main person, organizing stuff, everyone just kind of organizes their own podcast when it's their turn. So, it's not a big focus on, who created it in general. But in case you were wondering, I did create AGTube Central. The next question is, are you guys close? And if you mean close as in how often we talk, some of us are more than others. I know that AGovation and 𝔸𝕬𝕠𝕦𝕥 are good friends, and me and the AG Cafe are also really good friends. And I'm friends with all the girls in the collab channel, but some just I talk to more than others. Not necessarily just because I don't want to talk to them, pretty much just because, we're all busy and we don't always have time to talk to people throughout the week, with both of the channels that we're running, because we all have personal channels and then this, collab channel, so it's kind of hard to make time to get to know people better, although we have definitely gotten to know each other better throughout the course of running this channel together, but I think we could definitely continue to grow our friendship and become closer friends, because I think that'd be really cool. The next question is, how do you select guests? So it's pretty random, honestly. A lot of people request to be guests on our podcast, and we'll usually put them down on a list that we have going for potential podcast guest ideas. Although we don't have everyone stick to picking someone off of that list. It really just depends on who they want to interview. So if they have an idea on someone they want to interview and it's not on the list, I'm not going to say no, you can't interview them because they're not on the list. Overall, I do usually make a decision on whether or not I'd like to have that person on the podcast, because I am kind of the host of the channel. But for the most part, it's up to the girls who are hosting the podcast, and they'll come to me with a few ideas, and I'll say, okay, yeah, that one's a good idea, or maybe we just talked about a topic like that, so we'll wait a little bit longer to interview that person with that topic, or something like that. The next question is, why did Violet Dollies leave? For those of you that have not been with this channel for a while, Violet Dollies is one of the girls who used to be a part of this channel when it started, but unfortunately is no longer part of the channel. She got really busy with school and wanted to take the focus off of AGTube and onto personal matters in her life. She is taking an extended break from AGTube currently. Her channel, I think, is still linked on our channel, but she is taking a break from pretty much all things AGTube right now, so she just didn't want to have a commitment like this that she had to continue with when she wasn't going to be doing her personal channel. What is it like having a collab channel? So honestly, it's really fun. It's also really stressful and a lot of work. So just like trying to post consistently is really challenging. Even getting a video out every other week is really hard. I don't know how we managed to get a video out every week for the first few months that we were doing this channel, but somehow we managed to do that. I don't think that's gonna work. The plan was to do it again this summer, but I don't think we're gonna have enough time or energy to make a video ahead of time so that we can post every single week this summer. That would be cool though, and maybe we can post more often this summer. I'm not sure. We still need to talk to the girls more about that, but I think that would be really cool if we were able to post more often. If you are thinking of starting a collab channel, I would say just try to do something that's unique. I know it's not something that you can mess with too much to make it unique, because it is a podcast channel. There's not so much that you can change, but just try not to copy anything. This is kind of the same thing I had with 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕥, who is the girl who I originally got the inspiration for this channel from. Although she doesn't do a podcast channel, she just has a podcast series. But basically, me and her talked about, okay, so how do we want to keep it separate? Because she didn't want to join the podcast channel because she wanted to continue her own separate thing on her channel. So basically, we just came to the conclusion of, okay, we'll just not copy each other and try our best to keep it different, so that we're not taking any of the spotlight off of each other. Especially since 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕥 was the girl with the original idea, I totally recommend that you guys go check out her channel and her podcast series, because honestly, she is really good at hosting podcasts, and I love every time she comes out with one. At what time did you realize you needed or wanted to make a collab channel? So like I said a while ago, the inspiration came from 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕥, and she hadn't been posting her dollcast series for a while, and I really wanted more of them in the AGTube community, so I just thought it would be really cool to have a podcast channel, because I had remembered that a while ago people used to do collab channels. I wasn't part of AGTube, or probably YouTube for that matter, when that was a thing, so I didn't really know how it worked, but I thought I might as well give it a shot, and so I contacted probably about 20 different AGTubers, and only about 8 or 9 ended up saying that they wanted to be part of it, and so that actually worked out really well, because I didn't want to have to tell a bunch of girls, no, you can't join, but luckily it worked out so that the girls who said that they wanted to join was the perfect amount that I was looking for. The next question was how I got inspired to start the podcast channel, but I already talked about that, so I'll move on to the next question. How do you come up with questions to ask in the podcast? So this is a really good question. Honestly, it's pretty challenging. That's probably the most stressful part. For someone like me, where I enjoy talking to other AGTubers, and it's not super stressful for me. I know some of the other girls get a little bit more, they freeze up a bit more when they're doing interviews, but I think everyone does an amazing job when they're interviewing people. But as for coming up with questions, honestly, I kind of just go from the point of view of okay, just expect that these people know nothing about this AGTuber or what she does or anything like that, so just ask questions that you think other people would want to know. So if it's maybe it's something that I don't know myself and I want to learn about this AGTuber, I try to make it more of a casual conversation as well as including questions, because I want it to feel like it's a conversation between the listener and the AGTuber. So I think if I made it too formal and okay, ask a question, answer, and didn't go outside of the lines at all, and didn't go off topic, or if there was nothing that wasn't, if nothing happened that wasn't planned, it just wouldn't seem like a casual conversation, and it probably wouldn't be as interesting to listen to, honestly. But yeah, just for the questions, obviously for this one I made a video and then you guys sent in the questions for us, but usually whoever is in charge of the podcast will come up with the questions themselves. And then that was the next question of, do you guys come up with the questions all together or just the interviewer? So yeah, usually just the one girl will come up with the questions, or if she needs help, like when we did the podcast with 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕦7, we all came up with questions for that, or I helped the two girls that were doing it come up with questions. So sometimes it's more than just the one person who's doing the interview, but for the most part, it's usually just the one person. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned while running this channel? Honestly, I think just staying organized and communication is like super vital for running a channel like this. Like honestly, I need to work on that a lot with this channel too, and we don't have a ton of good communication going on. I've tried a few different things, and honestly I just haven't kept up with them as much. But also, not all of the girls are super active on Hangouts, which is our main way to communicate. We do also have an Instagram group chat, but that kind of backfired. I don't really know what went on there. I might have to figure that out. It's kind of reminding me that I need to put more effort into that over the summer for sure. I think we had originally planned to do monthly calls so that we could talk to each other, but it's almost impossible to schedule 6 or 7 different girls to be on a Zoom call at the same time. When we're all in different time zones, we all have different schedules. Like, it's literally almost impossible. So just keeping as much good communication as possible in between the girls is very important, and the more you guys talk, the better, because if people don't know what's going on, then stuff is going to get delayed, or they're not going to know when to film their podcast or when to start planning for it. So it just all kind of gets kind of chaotic without good communication. What was the best interview that you have done? So for me personally, I haven't done too many interviews. Here, wait, let me get to the channel. So for me personally, I have done an interview with 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕦13. I have done an interview with Dancing Dolphins, and I have done I've done 3 interviews total if you include the first podcast, which was one with all of us. So I did the one with all of us. I did one with Leela Anna. I did one with 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕦13, and I did one with Dancing Dolphins. The one with Dancing Dolphins is like our longest podcast. Me and her just have so much in common, and we talked for forever. So the podcast is literally an hour long, and I don't know if you guys have had time to sit through that whole thing and watch it. It says it has 528 views, but I'm wondering how many people were able to actually listen to the whole thing. Because honestly, it's super long, and it took forever to edit, but it was really fun talking to her, and her channel is amazing. I think best interview, I think out of all of them, just not that I've done, I really, really enjoyed the interview with 𝔸𝕬𝕦𝕦7, because, I got to talk to her before, even though I wasn't actually interviewing her, and just this channel gave me a way to connect with her and get to talk to her, and she's been, one of my favorite AGTubers since, I started, and so it was a dream come true to be able to talk to her, and just, we did a one-on-one Zoom call before, and that was just so cool. So even though I wasn't the one doing the actual interviewing in that podcast, I think that one definitely stands out to me. Although all of them have been amazing and have helped us connect with other AGTubers and learn a ton about AGTube and AGIG and just so many different topics, which has been, super fun. The next question is, what improvements do you think you should make for the podcasts? So, I think trying to maybe have, stick more to the time, that we've been trying to aim for, which is, about 40 minutes. I know some of our podcasts are shorter, and some of them are longer. Usually mine tend to be pretty long, because I could just literally talk with someone forever and never get tired. So, that's kind of an issue for my podcast in particular. But for the rest of them, I know some of them struggle to hit 20 minutes, and some of them are easily a good 30 to 40, which is our recommended time that we try to get every time. So let me know what you guys think about the podcast. Do you think we should do like shorter ones, or do you like the longer podcasts? I personally like longer podcasts because then I can film for a really long time and not have to go to different videos, or I can even come back to the same video later and then I have more to watch, or listen to rather. But if there's any other improvements that you guys think we should make with our podcasts, let me know. If there aren't any other improvements that you guys think we should make with our podcasts, let me know, because I'm totally open to suggestions, and anything that we can do to improve the podcast is really helpful. The next question is, how did you come up with the name? So, for a while, we were thinking of, I forgot, we had something to do with the number of how many girls. It was like seven AGTubers or something like that as the name originally. And then one of the girls, or I think my mom or someone mentioned and said, oh, you shouldn't have the name, or like you shouldn't have the number of how many girls are in the channel in the name, because like what if someone leaves and then you don't have that many girls in the channel anymore, and then it'd just be kind of weird. So I'm glad we didn't, because now we only have 6 girls in the channel, and it's been that way for a while because I just thought, you know, there's no need in bringing it back up to 7 when we're doing good with 6 girls, and honestly, it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on, even with 6. So, I'm glad we didn't end up doing that. But, I don't know, someone thought of AGTube Central. I don't remember who it was exactly, but one of the girls in the collab channel thought of AGTube Central as the name, and we all liked it, and we all thought it was cool, so we used it, and I'm glad they did, because I really like the idea of the channel being, like, the central like channel of AGTube, just to like bring different news and stuff. Honestly, we haven't really held up to that standard or that expectation a ton, because we don't do a ton of recent current stuff in AGTube, mostly just AG in general. But I like the idea of the channel being kind of like something that everyone in AGTube can relate to. Which is what we try to have all the topics be, like something that everyone can relate to if they're in AGTube, or even if they just like American Girl. How do you choose who gets to be a member of the channel? So like I said, as of now, we are not going to be adding anyone new to the channel, not that I know of at least. We may add someone if someone comes to mind and it seems like they would be beneficial to the channel, but I don't have any plans to add anyone anytime soon. I do think that if one of the other girls did leave, we'd probably add someone to replace them, because 5 girls would be a bit low on the amount of girls in the collab channel. Just to try to manage everything with 5 people will be a bit complicated. But usually how I chose who to invite originally and how we would choose people to join now that there's other girls in it are completely different, because like when I was inviting people, I only had to consider like who I wanted to be in the group, and not how the other girls would get along, and like who they wanted to be in the group or who they didn't want to be in the group. So like there's stuff like that, like, oh, maybe we should add this person to the group, and then someone else is like, I don't know, maybe not. Like I'm not thinking of anything in particular. I'm just saying that like there could, if I wanted to add someone and the other girl just like didn't really want them to join, or if someone really wanted them to join, and like if everyone really wants them to join, then I'll most likely let them know, like, hey, do you want to join? But sometimes there's drama, or there can be, especially if you're part of AGIG, you know that there's a ton of drama, and there can be, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible on this channel. Honestly, I just want this to be a fun, family-friendly channel that people can enjoy and not have to worry about drama or politics or anything that can be controversial, or like literally anything like that. So trying to avoid that as much within the members as well. Any tips for someone wanting to start a collab channel? I think pretty much what I said before. Just like communication is vital, and then just getting everyone on the same page and figuring out who you want to interview, contacting them, making sure you have easy ways to contact people, making sure you have people who have connections with other AGTubers, because like if people are already friends with one of the AGTubers that you want to interview, then that makes it easy, and then it's more like a casual conversation if that's what you're going for. Because like I've had I've had a few of my friends, or two of the girls that I'm already friends with, I interviewed them on the podcast, and it just kind of makes it more of a casual conversation because it's someone that the interviewer is familiar with, so it just makes it really fun. And then, like I said, AG Ovation and Perky Tomato are good friends, so they did the meme podcast together, and so that was really cool, and you guys really loved that podcast, so that was really cool. Did you ever expect to get the number Did you ever expect to get the number of subscribers you have in less than a year? So, for you guys that are watching in the future, or if you time traveled and are watching this in the future and don't know how many subscribers we had at this point, because honestly, who would remember? We have 524 subscribers at the moment, and honestly, that's really crazy. Like, we grew so fast. Like, we hit like 200 like before we even posted our first video or something. It was honestly crazy, and you guys were so supportive, and just like from since our first video, like, we've been doing really great with views and stuff. Like, we get a decent amount of views. It's been kind of less and less over the past few months, but I still think that we all, like, the channel definitely isn't dying. We're just kind of maybe losing momentum a little bit, but I think we'll figure it out sooner or later how to get back into things and make it new and exciting to watch. And I thank you to you guys who consistently watch these podcasts. They're really fun to make, and I hope you're able to watch them while you're doing other things. But yeah, to answer the question, which I kind of went off topic, but to answer the question, nope, I didn't think that we were going to be at this many subscribers in less than half a year. Honestly, actually, it's already almost been, like, it's been a year since I created the channel. I created the channel in February of 2020, but we didn't post our first video until, July, so it's a little bit until our 1 year anniversary, but it's coming up, so thank you guys so much for your support over this past almost year, and I'm excited to continue creating videos and hosting this collab channel, so yeah. But yeah, no, I didn't think we would get this many subscribers in that short amount of time. I hope we can continue to grow, though, and hitting 1,000 would honestly be crazy, and maybe we can do that eventually. How does everyone choose which week they will upload? So, it's pretty much predetermined. Like, I'll go through and be like, okay, we need to post this week, and this week, and then I'll try to keep it in the same order so that people don't post the same, like, so that people don't have to post a podcast too close together. So we'll rotate, so like so the same person doesn't have to post a podcast until it's like, so since we only post every other week, it's like, say I would post a video, a week would go by, then another person would post a video, then a week would go by, then another person would post a video, then a week would go by, then another person, then a week, then another person, then a week, then I would have to finally post again. So it's not for like a good month and a half to 2 months until the same person has to post again. So it's pretty nice for people to be able to space out their podcasts, so it's not a ton of work on the side of the girls who are part of the channel. For me, it's actually kind of a lot because I have to remember to alert people a few weeks ahead so that they can start planning their podcast, and then it will be out on time. And honestly, I've said honestly a lot. And also the girls that are in the channel do an amazing job setting up and planning and coming up with the questions for the podcast, and I'm just so amazed with everything that they're able to do every time that a new podcast comes out. Although that makes it seem like I'm not expecting them to be capable of it, when I totally am. Like, they do an amazing job, but every week is just so cool to see what they come up with. How many AGTubers have been in your podcasts, counting you? So overall, we've done, this is the 19th episode, so we've done 18 episodes other than this. One of them was the meme one, and one of them was the one with the group podcast. So that would make 16 AGTubers in the collab, like in the different podcasts other than us. Although we did actually do a podcast with one of the members before she was a member of AGTube Central, and that is 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𝕥. We didn't have plans for her to be joining AGTube Central anytime soon, and I didn't realize that she had been interviewed until after she was already a member. Not that that would have stopped her from becoming a member, but I thought that was kind of funny that she was interviewed and then we had her join the collab channel, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, 16 AGTubers other than us have been in the actual podcast. So that's the end of the questions that were submitted by you guys for me. So now let's go on to the questions for the rest of the members and let's see what they had to say.
Okay, so the first question is, what is your favorite part of being in AGTube Central? My favorite part is making all these memories with amazing AGTubers and getting to meet AGTubers and talk to them and interview them. The whole concept is really fun and I love it.
I think my favorite part about being in AGTube Central would have to be just how we're able to meet people, whether if that's the people in the group or the people that I'm interviewing. I do think it's just a really fun way to meet people in the community, so that's probably my favorite part.
My favorite part of AGTube Central is getting to meet and interview so many people that I have looked up to for so many years.
My favorite part about being in AGTube Central is probably how AGTube Central kind of connects the whole AGTube community and just really brings us together. I think that is so awesome that a channel can do that, and I'm so happy to be a part of this.
What is your favorite and least favorite parts about running a podcast? My favorite part is, again, making memories and having, discussions to look back on and reflect, and it's really fun to look back on. My least favorite part about running a podcast, honestly, there's no really least favorite part. I really enjoyed the podcast. So yeah.
My favorite part of running a podcast would have to be coming up with topic ideas, figuring out who I'm going to interview, as well as the actual interview itself. My least favorite part would actually have to be writing the questions. That's something I really struggle with, and I'm not sure how to make them super entertaining or make sure the podcast is structured, and I don't know, that's something I struggle with a lot.
My favorite part about the podcast is coming up with the questions for interviewing people, and my least favorite part definitely has to be editing it. Although I love editing in general, the podcasts are just super long, and they take a long time to edit.
My favorite and least favorite parts about running a podcast, well, favorite probably just being able to talk to the other AGTuber and really just connect with them and pretty much just form a friendship with them and just, exchange advice and stuff like that. And least favorite would probably be just sometimes I guess I stress about maybe saying the wrong things or not having enough questions, or if the podcast will be longer than the other podcasts on the channel or shorter than the other podcasts, just making sure that my podcast I guess just fits in, but overall it's not really a big problem.
Alright, how do you come up with questions to ask? Based on the theme or topic, I will write down a few questions that I have, and basically aside from those questions that I write, I just kind of wing it in the podcast because I think it's more natural that way.
I come up with questions by either going to their channel or their Instagram, looking at what videos they've recently posted or what they are planning to do in the future, or if they've accomplished something recently like being in AGNDM or anything to do with the Sophie Awards, I'll plan questions around that as well.
A lot of the times I come up with my questions by asking people on Instagram what they want to see when I interview a specific person. I also research a lot about the people that I'm interviewing, so when I'm watching their videos, I think of questions.
I just really think of what I would want to ask the person, what I'm just curious about themselves, and also just specific things on different videos that they make. If they were to make customization videos, I'll probably go in and ask questions about that, but really it's just what I'd want to know from that certain AGTuber.
How did you choose questions/people to interview? Honestly, since I just have one interview up right now, I just kind of chose who I know and who I think will resonate with the topic. And yeah.
I choose people to interview that we have a list that have a bunch of people who have asked in the past if they could be on. One time I needed a person quickly, so I literally just posted on Instagram being like, hey, if you want to be on, let me know, with really short notice. So that also happened. It's just a mixture of that.
We have a list of people who have shown interest in being interviewed, and a lot of the times I will either pick somebody from that list or I will reach out to somebody who I personally love watching so that way I can interview them.
The next question is, how do your original thoughts about the channel compare to how it is after being part of the channel for a while? Okay, if I'm being honest, a lot of the past collab channels that AGTubers began were very short-lived, so I didn't know how long this channel would last, and the fact that we're nearly hitting a year is amazing, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
I feel like we've come even further than I thought we would. I honestly never expected us to grow this quickly, but I'm so grateful that we have.
I would say this channel has definitely come a lot farther than I thought it would. Since I wasn't one of the original members of AGTube Central, I remember seeing when it first popped up, and they got so many subscribers overnight. I was shook, and I think it's so awesome. So yes, this channel has definitely gone farther.
I do think we've come pretty far, maybe even farther than I thought. I think we've done really well just for being in the first year. So I do think we have come pretty far, at least in my opinion.
When I was first asked to be a part of AGTube Central, I was kind of hesitant to join, honestly, mainly because I'm a pretty big introvert and making videos by myself is a lot different than having to actually talk to people and interview them. But I decided it would be a good way to step outside of my comfort zone and get to know more people in the AGTube community. So looking at AGTube Central now, I feel like it has allowed me to open up a bit more, and it's a lot less stressful than I thought it would be.
Since I wasn't one of the original people in this channel, I definitely remember thinking that this whole channel was so cool and I totally wanted to be a part of it. And when I heard that there was an opening, I was super excited, and now that I'm a part of it, it's definitely lived up to the expectation. It's even better than I thought, so I am so happy with how this channel has gone.
I think my original thoughts compare pretty well to it after being a part of the channel for a while. I think Joy did a really good job of explaining the whole concept and idea in her email, so I think it's basically what I thought it would be, so yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, what was the best interview you have done? Her Story AG. She's currently my one and only podcast / interview that is up right now, and even if I had more, I honestly would not choose a favorite because, I don't know, all interviews are fun and equally the best.
The best interview I've done would probably be a really memorable one is the one that Perky and I did with Micah from Mixie Pixie 7. That was just a really surreal moment for me, for sure. But I also really loved the one I did with Golden Pup AGSM, and I loved editing that video, and it was a little bit different because it was more of a reaction style video. I don't know. I enjoyed that one too.
Well, I've interviewed 3 people so far: Rockstar 13 Studios, 5 Hens and a Cockatiel, and Alley Cat Loves AG. And I feel like all 3 interviews were very different in their own ways. I definitely had a lot of fun interviewing those people, and I'm really struggling to pick a favorite, so I don't know.
Since I've only hosted one podcast, I would definitely choose that podcast, and that one was with Lynn Life. I've been into other podcasts on AGTube Central, and those were both with Perky Tomato, one before and one after I joined AGTube Central. Anyways, so I really enjoyed the Lynn Life podcast because it was super fun just to talk to her, especially because I didn't talk to her on like a daily basis, so it was really great just, to ask her those questions, and that was definitely a great time.
What are your best memories from AGTube Central? Oh, this is hard. Honestly, all of them. I really enjoyed the Secret Santa, reconnecting with Her Story AG, getting to meet AG Doll Fan Forever. Yeah, all of them. They're all great.
I think my best memory would have to be the Secret Santa. That was just a really fun experience, and I loved seeing everyone's videos, and it was just so fun. And then my other one would definitely have to be the interview with Micah, because that was a great time.
Some of my best memories have been from after the podcasts. After every single episode, the person that I was interviewing and I always tend to talk for several hours afterwards. Like, I believe Allie and I talked for a whole 4 hours after our interview, and honestly, some of the discussions from those conversations have been some of my favorite memories because I felt like I really got to know who I was talking to on a more personal level.
My best memory from AGTube Central was probably just seeing this channel and how amazing the whole AGTube community treated this channel. Like, everybody was shouting them out. Everybody was, telling people to subscribe and stuff like that. And my favorite memory is probably just realizing that I got to be a part of this, like basically being accepted into AGTube Central in a way. I remember just thinking that it was so cool that I got to be a part of this thing.
What are your goals for the next 6 months on this channel? Well, hopefully I will be able to interview people who have smaller AGTubes to give them some more exposure. So that's definitely one of my main goals.
My goals for the next 6 months would probably be just to continue what I'm doing, maybe to grow a little bit in terms of writing questions and coming up with a little bit more creative ideas, but just to continue what I'm doing, but also to grow.
I would think it would be really cool if our channel could hit 1,000 subscribers by our 1-year anniversary. That would be a really cool goal to achieve.
Since I haven't been a part of this channel for a really long time, my goal would probably be to run another podcast, which I think my turn may be coming up soon. I'm not exactly sure. And I might want to upload a bonus video because sometimes that is what some members do. I'm not sure if I'll have enough time, but I definitely like to upload one in the next 6 months.
Okay, the next question is, who is your dream guest? 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𝕥, hands down. She was definitely one of my favorites. It would be so cool to have her on this podcast. I'm sure many of you guys know her as she's very iconic in the AGTube community. So yeah.
Ooh, my dream guest. That's hard. There are so many people, whether if that's a friend or someone I really admire that I might not really know, but I literally cannot name people off the top of my head, but there are so many. Literally, it's pretty cool, this whole podcast, that we get opportunities to talk to people.
This would never happen, but I would love to interview 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𝕥 and talk to her about how she created American Girl and what she thinks of the company now.
My dream guest would probably be 𝔸𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑 or Forever and Always. I know that some of the AGTubers a part of AGTube Central already did 𝔸𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑𝕑, so probably Forever and Always.
The next question is, how do you balance running this channel with your personal AG channel? Ooh, I'm really exposing myself here. But as you guys can tell, sometimes my consistency is very sporadic at times. So at the moment, I struggle with balance, but I'm getting back to it recently.
I think I do a pretty good job of balancing the channel with my personal channel. I find that because we don't make these videos every single week or even every single month, there's definitely gaps of time between each video that we make. It's not very frequent, so I'm able to dedicate most of my time to my personal channel just because there's more videos on there that I would make. So I do think I do a pretty good job of balancing.
Well, since there are so many of us on AGTube Central, it actually makes it much easier for me to balance this channel with my personal channel, since I only have to upload a couple times a year on this channel. But when I know that my upload time is coming up, I make sure to plan well in advance.
At first, when I joined AGTube Central, I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to balance running my personal AG channel and AGTube Central, but it's honestly been a breeze. I'm really happy with the posting schedule, so it's not super strict and we don't have to post so much, but it's still definitely a really good balance between them, so I don't have to stress too much about running them both, and the balance is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be.
So last but not least, does anyone get jealous of each other when they get to interview certain people? I personally don't think any of us get jealous, but I don't get jealous, and I don't think any of the other members do either.
No, there hasn't been any jealousy among us.
For my end, I don't really get jealous of other people who speak to people. Maybe for Mixie Pixie 7, I do wish I could have been there, but I don't really get jealous of the specific person who did end up interviewing her. I just, I don't know. But that is really my personal opinion. I don't know about anybody else on AGTube Central, but on my end, I don't think so.
Is the end of this podcast. I want to thank everyone on the AGTube Central group for recording their answers to the questions that you guys submitted. It was really fun listening to all of the answers as I was editing this, and I'm sure you guys probably enjoyed listening to them as well. Let me know what you thought of this podcast in the comments, and I am excited to continue making podcasts for you guys over the summer, and I think I can speak for everyone on the AGTube Central group when I say that. If you guys want to check out any of the girls that are in this group, all of our channels are linked on the About page, and they're all really awesome, so I would totally suggest you check them out. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys soon with another podcast. Bye!